Hello and welcome to 20 by 20. Now, as part of TV3's 20th anniversary, we're speaking to 20 most eminent Ghanaians to find out their thoughts about Ghana's development and also have a feel of what their past experiences have been. Now, my guest for today is one man who's arguably one of the best statesmen of this country. He's loved by many Ghanaians. Now, he's a former president of the Republic and is credited for transformational changes within our economy. There are even some who have argued that though his party, seems to be capitalist, during his tenure as president of the Republic, he embarked on so many social interventions and in fact would prefer to refer to him as a socially inclined capitalist. My guest is one person you'd love to call the gentle giant, His Excellency, John AGYEKUM KUFUOR. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. I believe you're doing very well.
As you can see, it's not perfect, but I don't believe there's perfection anywhere.
Okay.
So I'm very thankful.
And you're preparing for Christmas?
We are in it already. So we take it as it comes.
Okay. For you, what do you say is the significance of Christmas?
Well, depending on your religion, you would agree that, say, for Christians, perhaps it's the beginning of it all. It's when we believe our Messiah was born. And so we celebrate it not only in Ghana, but all over the world. Christmas is like a remembrance day for the birth of Christ, Jesus.
And so as we celebrate it, what would you want Ghanaians to do? What would you want to tell Ghanaians?
Normally, it's a period of merriment and joy. And all over, people indulge themselves, of course, attending services and after services, also with feasting, eating, drinking. And the only trouble is we tend to overindulge. And that's what we should guard against. Because over the period, the tendency has been to also have a lot of accidents. Okay.
So, not long ago, you celebrated your 79th birthday.
Yes.
And I remember speaking to you on radio around that time. Mm-hmm. But just talking about your birthday, let's go back into time, when you were growing up. We're talking about Christmas. At least many of us, the current generation would talk about the little things we've seen about Christmas. But you've seen a lot of Christmas. Tell us, when you were growing up, how Christmas was.
That was in the depth of colonialism, because I was born as far back as 1938.
Exactly.
And so I had my infancy through to middle teenage period before independence. Yeah. And those times were different from after independence. The country wasn't that populous as it is now. The population, even at independence, was just around 6 million people. So you can imagine, I was born in Kumasi. And Kumasi couldn't have been perhaps more than 500,000 people in those times. So everybody knew everybody. And around Christmas, after church services, people would visit families and friends. And everywhere one went, one was treated to something, biscuits, soft drinks for children. And of course, there was a lot of music all over. Picnics, fancy dress, all over the place, and children were just too happy. It was also during the occasion when even children were treated to chicken. Chicken was such a delicacy.
Really?
Yes, yes, yes. It wasn't as common as it is today. And rice. Kumasi, as you know, didn't have rice as a staple. And around the Kumasi forested area, the staples were plantain, cocoyam, and yams, But around Christmas, we were treated to rice meals, and children looked forward to that.
And I believe personally you enjoyed those rice meals when you were growing up.
Like all the children of those times, yes. But in time, we came to see that rice was perhaps the most staple around the world.
Exactly.
So now it's not a...
Talking about music around that time, of course, for many of us, the young ones, we know the music would like to sing around, you know, this period. But for you, at that time, what kind of music was it around Christmas?
Those times, the music of the time wasn't the loud music we hear these days. I think then sort of music we had were the music of the church generally, and also traditional, say around Kumasi, for instance, where I was born to, very in the center of tradition. For happy occasions, might hear some traditional music, say in the chief's house and things like that, Nyumkoro and things like that. And then in the mornings, you'd hear, and into the afternoons, fancy dress music, a lot of children wearing masks and making quite a healthy and innocent but heavy drumming and some brass music.
Okay.
But in those times we didn't have the sort of music we have today.
But President KUFUOR, did you ever take part in, you know, the fancy dressing and all that?
No, I didn't. But I enjoyed just seeing them parade around, and we all looked forward to seeing them, and occasionally, you know, sort of jigging around a bit to their music. But I never was a fancy dress.
Any special reason why you never did that?
It just didn't happen in my home.
Oh, okay, I see. But growing up, which of the Christmas would you say you enjoyed most? What memory that you'd say you'd never forget about Christmas when you were, you know, from, you know, your early years to your teenage years?
It was always a happy thing. I was born one of 10, and was the 7th of the 10 children. At time I became aware about 4 or 5 of my siblings, senior ones, were in schools along the coast. Some 2 or 3 in Achimota, and others cousins in Adisada. So they would all come back, and naturally the younger ones were just so happy to have them come back. And then 24th night, would follow them to for service at St. Cyprian's. We were born Anglicans, and we enjoyed the sermon then. And then after, we'd walk back home. The next morning, you may have some choirs coming round to sing for us. So we enjoyed. And also we knew the Christmas day itself would be days of feasting.
Yeah.
Chicken, as I said, or perhaps lamb and things like that. There was food in abundance. Okay. And then people would stream in and out. The whole thing was joyous. And so I enjoyed every bit of it. So time I became a teenager and I went into boarding school myself.
President KUFUOR, moving away from, you know, your childhood experiences of Christmas, let's get to the presidency. Within, you know, the 8 years, this afternoon we want to find out a few things, you know, some of the things we normally haven't heard you talk about. What are some of the memories of, you know, your 8 years as President of the Republic of Ghana?
They were very momentous years. It took me a long time to get to the presidency. People perhaps may not know, but I started quite young, because at the age of 30, I was already a member of parliament and deputy foreign minister of Ghana. And even then, there were the stirrings of ambition to get right to the apex of politics. But that was as far back as '69. I had to wait till the year 2000 before I got to presidency. Exactly. And so when I got to the presidency, I knew exactly what I wanted to do for our country. And I should be thankful in the sense that I had a good team in my government who shared my vision, and also the people of Ghana were tolerant. Okay. Because life the year 2001 was very tough. The country was overladen with debts. We were virtually insolvent. And this is why we took the highly indebted poor countries initiative with the IMF. But things came together so well, and because the team focused and was very disciplined. So we rolled quickly to get out of the highly indebted poor countries initiative in record time. That was acknowledged around the world. Yeah. Within 2-3 years, we had finished with that, and that led to the huge debt forgiveness by the creditors of Ghana. Altogether, over the 8-year periods, Ghana had as much as almost $8 billion of debt written off by creditors. It's a great, great, great achievement by our government. Okay. That really gladdened me. And with that atmosphere, creditors or investors started rushing into Ghana. And not only that, banks wanted to come in here. When we started, Ghana didn't have more than about 7 banks. Yeah. Time we were going out, we had almost 30 banks. And they had started competing among themselves, chasing people to come for credit, something that never happened in our country before. So the atmosphere really was sweetened and very hopeful. Cocoa, that had been the lifeblood of our country. When we came in, farmers had started cutting off their trees to go and plant things like citrus, oranges, because while government had been cheating the farmers for as long as anybody could remember, the farmer was given not bigger than 30 to 40% of the international market price. So when we came in, we decided within the first year to turn the tables around, give the bigger portion of the price to the farmer. After all, it wasn't the government that acquired the land for the farmers for them. It wasn't the government that looked after the farms for the farmers. Government was not giving credit to the farmers, and yet government was taking the lion's share of the international price to develop our country for the benefit of all of us. But to sustain cocoa farming, my government decided to give the bigger portion so as to get the farmers to continue to tend their farms and to even to increase production. Okay. With that policy where we gave the farmer something like 60%, with the state retaining a smaller portion, within 3 years, production of cocoa jumped. The produce jumped from something like 350,000 tons 2001 to over 730,000 tons by 2005. Again, all-time record in the almost 100 years of cocoa production in this country. That had a knock-on effect on agriculture generally, and so the country didn't suffer anything like food shortages and farming. Okay. And the wealth spread all over the economy, and the message went abroad. Ghanaians outside wanted to come back home. The remittances from Ghanaians outside kept on increasing. At a point, I think they nearly touched something like 4 billion, yeah. And that was even bigger than even the produce, the earnings from cocoa. So everything came together so nicely, and I was enjoying myself because, as I said, it took me a long time to get there. And when I got there, and I had promised during the campaign 2000 to usher in the golden age of business for Ghana, and the framework, economic framework we put in place really attracted investors to come. bankers came in, explorers for cocoa, for gold,
oil.
Even for gold. Yeah. They brought Newmont to Ghana. Newmont then was the biggest gold producer in the United States of America. Newmont is a reality, a fact of life here today. The other gold mining companies, Gold Fields, Boise, we worked with all of them, and they contributed. Then when we look at oil, for instance, Ghana had been searching for oil since 1896 without success. The first time there was a smattering, if I may put it, just a slide showing that there might be commercial oil in Ghana was around 1971, in Buzia's time, where oil was struck off the shores of Sopon. Unfortunately, it proved to be a 9-day wonder, because within the year or so, Buzia's government was overthrown by soldiers, as you know, and the oil vanished, never to come back. So we came back to power year 2001, and then I said GNPC should focus on its core business of searching for gold, rather than giving credits to cocoa farmers and salt workers, and all presumably in anticipation of our finding oil. But that was not, they were diversions. Okay. So I said, stop everything, just focus on finding oil. Look at the terms of engagement with explorers. And we sought advice from the Commonwealth Secretariat and focused on that. And the companies that came in to explore, Cosmos, Tallow, Hers, Vitor, we were liberal. We just wanted to prove there was oil here commercially. And again, thankfully, the first attempts by Cosmos proved successful. That's how we have the Jubilee oil field. Tallow came in a big way, and now it's Tallow that's leading the pack. But I know that the others, Hers, and everybody is striking in their own way. And I don't think there's going to be a turn back. Okay. So all these things came together, moved Ghana from highly indebted poor country, year 2001. By 2006, the world had classified Ghana as a middle income country, even though on the lower ranks of it. Ghana became a middle income. And so when you are a leader and all these things happen in your time like that, you just begin to go down on your knees to thank God. You are fulfilled.
Talking about thanking God and the fact that you enjoyed yourself while you're president and how you had started earlier, was there any time that you thought you wouldn't get to the level that you had wanted to get to?
Oh, there were many stages, and for instance, there were so many coups d'etats and also attempted coups, and politics was so maligned. Some people felt it was a waste of time and beating about the bush, staying in politics. And I would tell you, many a time, friends and even family, some family members that came to talk, why are you stressing yourself so much? Staying in politics like is the only thing that you can do. But I had taken time, even way before I really got into serious politics. Even as a student, I'd taken time. I was qualified as a barrister in 1961, at the age of 22, in 3 months. I had the opportunity to go to Oxford University to continue with my law, but after first year I decided no. I switched to do philosophy, politics, and economics.
Why?
Yes, because it had occurred to me even then that I might have a chance in politics, and I just needed to understand power. I've come to the point, even as I speak with you now, that perhaps we, as a people generally, should focus more on knowing the nature of power than on learning politics. Okay. Because when you get to know the central issue, which is power, power management, why people would go to any lengths to stage coup d'etat, to kill people, to lie about people, just to hold power. When you understand those things, you will become a good politician. But so I started learning some philosophy, which helped me to get insights into the nature of power.
Okay.
And then politics. The people who had been engaged in politics, some succeeding, others failing, the causes of success and failure in politics. And then economics.
Okay. Because
at the end of the day, when you are given the opportunity, you must at least have some appreciation of economics, because to the people, the citizenry generally, is bread and butter that matters to them.
Yeah.
Being able to manage their families and live decently, and it's all economics. So this a composite subject, PP as they call it in Oxford, is something I deliberately went into. And I had just 2 years to do a degree in that. Okay. So time I came back to Ghana, January 65, I was dreaming dreams and having visions. And so I could bide my time no matter the cost. I suffered detentions twice in Ashafort. First time I was in for 15 months.
Wow. 15 months.
15 months, yes. And when I came out, oh, stop that, go and practice law. I said, no. Let me focus there. Of course, I went into business here and there just to keep going. And because somehow I believed the day would come when I would have opportunity to show our country how to do things.
Well, indeed, the day finally came. But what's your assessment of, the country's development, journey over the last 60 years, briefly?
We could have done far better than we did. Right now, thankfully, let me use the word thankfully, because there's still some mystery about things, and I believe in God. So I'm thankful to God that we are back on track, and I pray that we stay on the track. And we shouldn't be hidebound about ideology or anything that would be divisive. We should go in on basis of pragmatism. What would yield the results for our people? Okay. Get the wealth, support education, support health, do infrastructure, open up the country, engage in partnerships that would yield to the benefit of the investors and the people generally. Government should only regulate and take legitimate taxes. Government should not overtax people. Okay. But spread it, let everybody contribute their bit so that government would have the funding to give leadership and make Ghana a country truly governed under enlightened laws, because that's what attracts people. People feel happy when they don't feel oppressed and muzzled. We should be expressive and live in this country. So we are on track, and we should stay on track, and Ghana will do very well.
Finally, TV3 is 20 years, and right from 1997 up until now. What are your wishes for TV3?
Well, don't forget it was my government that repealed the criminal libel law, and everybody then got a chance to talk, and there are so many FM stations. TV3 is definitely in the leadership of the media. It's part of the leadership. It's not, you are not exclusively the leader, but you show quality program. I hope that you continue to be, again, open-minded, and you should be focused and committed to the advancement of Ghana. That should be the tenet, the article of faith for our media. Whatever you are doing, yes, I know you are a commercial entity, but above all, be loyal to Ghana and work for the progress of Ghana. 20 years, it's long, but not too long. There's still a lot of way ahead of you. And even as you look at the bottom line of your economy, know that there's some work to do for the country, responsibility you owe the nation for the good and progress of the nation. And if you do that, then you have my blessing, you have my support.
President KUFUOR,
yes.
It's been great having you. Thank you.
I'm happy. You came.
Thank you.
Winston, nice meeting you. Thank you.
All right, so that's all from us today on 20 by 20 with me, Winston. I'm on behalf of the team. Thank you very much for joining us. Do have a lovely weekend.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.